sure some French players are watching at home. He used to be on G2 as well, although apparently there are rumours of another French team. I don't know anything about that, but for now we'll have to focus on this one.
it's just so difficult to have any confidence here for G2, even if there is some problems here or there for FaZe. Like just like that individual level is going to overwhelm G2. It's going to be able to allow them to bounce back easily from any mistakes, I would say, FaZe strategically. And yeah, I'm really worried for G2 here. I am worried they're going to get blown out of the water. They can prove us all wrong though, because I think there's a lot of other people that feel the same way as I do, because we are into the game. So let's get in there. There we go. So FaZe on that T side. Guardian already tossing the smoke. Is that the connector, James, or was that jungle?
I'm not sure from there. There's so many new angles now with the skyboxes. Jungle. Okay, this is interesting. So they have isolated players towards the jungle position, but allowed a two-pronged assault of the A side itself. But did they push CT? CT's open for the time being, and Olofmeister's having a look. There's no flashes for him to take that position. In the meantime, Carrigan delivering, and there may be more pressure on him at the moment. Shox now flanking towards T-spawn. Body picked off in the meantime.
Yes, a very nice opening from FaZe. Simple, but solid. And Rain is lurking there, and it's so difficult as you start to push forward to the CTs. So many angles, 2 quick bullets from Rain, execution style, as it's just Shox left. And what can he do here with that USP? Looking for these players. The FaZe, they're playing it smart, being hidden. Rain once again picks the perfect spots and the perfect timing to reveal himself and do the damage. 1-0 for FaZe, and I love that pistol round, James. That was like very quick, very simple. The smoke to jungle was really nice. The split onto the A bomb site, lovely stuff.
Yeah, I like these kind of plays on Mirage because for the most part it gives you those close quarters engagements with the Glocks coming out from the underpass. You can have close duels and connector if somebody's there and so on. So you limit the weakness of the Glock and you play to its strengths, having more bullets in the magazine. As well. Shox on a scout, the rest of the team with some Desert Eagles. Not say full investment from all. Kenny S has spent some money, which may leave him without Kevlar with an AWP in the buy round. I always forget. Smith has been dangerous with the 5-7. He's got a lot of kills through smoke in this tournament.
He has indeed. He's going to need a lot more in this one as well. They will need everything they can muster against FaZe. Slow round here from the FaZe boys. We've got a slow mid-take coming in. The timing of the smoke, jungle, or rather connector ends, also window. And a slow clearance here. Just trying to make sure they can be safe against everything. We'll often see teams going for these B splits on these anti-force buys or ecos. It's been quite in vogue. Ooh, but he can't quite find a connection there. That's unfortunate for him. Does do some damage to Olofmeister. Oh no, actually no, he didn't. He missed everything. It was against Guardian. So, yes. FaZe are starting to get closer to that B bomb site now. Indeed, it is that B split. Existence. Oh, there you go. There's one. A second one offers itself up, but Rain will shut it down. And that B bomb site is looking pretty open, James.
Yeah, the split from FaZe Clan now moving in. Kenny's still dangerous though. The time is ticking for FaZe. Oh, the mic Shox. That's perfect timing from him. He's bought some time for Smiths, who has position on, well, he has short. I would say he has position per se. Carrigan now will avert crisis for FaZe. Now we need to have Go TV picks, and I want to lean towards, I think Guardian is a great person to learn from, but I have to pick Nico because his one-taps are just incomprehensible. So for the T side at the very least, for those of you on Go TV or the Twitch Premium Pass, my choice is Nico.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good one. Shox is always a good call as well, if you're on the GT side, obviously. Especially now that he doesn't have that in-game leading responsibility, he's more free to focus on that individual performance. We've seen some good Shox moments this tournament so far. FaZe playing that anti-eco once again, will bring himself into the middle position. Right now it's just the drills here, as Rain will drill Kenny S with that AK-47, and Olofmeister will take that as a good example, and he'll follow up as well. So just an easy rounds here for FaZe, going according to plan, and they'll be soon on that 3-0 start. And G2, they're going to have to strike back quickly, James. You do not want FaZe to have any momentum And Sean did mention the A stacks. That's something we'll have to look out for from G2.
I do. I'm inclined to pick Olofmeister as well. I think especially with the nature in which Nico gets frags with his one taps and so on, I think it's easy for other people to fly under the radar, even on a team such as FaZe. So whether you, on this T side at least, which I think will be the more interesting side, whether you pick Nico or Olofmeister, I don't think there is a bad pick. 32 seconds for Body to stop the bomb from going down. This is not looking very likely at all. So we will see what happens. So look how careful they are, though. Meticulous. They're still going for the default plant. I suppose they are less exposed in that sense. I like the inverse plant. When you have smokes down, for example, everyone goes for like a default plant or triple plant. I think if you go for an inverse default plant, what does that mean? It means the other side of the default box you can plant there as well. It gives you stronger positions post-plant as a T, whereas if a CT gets on the site, you may find yourself in difficulty trying to get something done. So 3-0 for FaZe. The buy round starts now.
Yep, Kenny S with a lot of responsibility here, lots of work to do. Can be jumping straight across. Nails the jump, but no one to catch moving across, or maybe there is, but fortunately for Kenny, he won't be able to find it in time. The boost up will be fairly devious and maybe unexpected, but FaZe care not. They're pushing into the bomb site one way or another. Headshot there for Nico, and Olofmeister playing in the middle position will spot two players. Takes down Kenny. That's got picked up now by Body, but there is no way to really get to the bomb site, surely. They know that he's there with the orb now, and I very much doubt FaZe is going to give up any more frags here. Playing safe angles. Just like that fast A round was quite successful.
Very confident peek there from Guardian. And indeed, horrible timing for Smiths. With players moving through the smoke, he was looking to check the gap. Quite often when there's a smoke grenade at the T ramp on A, there is a gap in the corner, kind of similar to the A main smoke on Cash. Something to be aware of. So if you're a CT and you want to cross to the other side of the smoke, maybe to do a sneaky play, you've got to be really, really careful, because if you're throwing the smoke willy-nilly, almost definitely there's a gap. So if there's a sniper behind it or any kind of T, they will be at an advantage if you're walking beyond that smoke. Now, if you look at, say, a Mouse Sports on Mirage, for example, I know they do it on the CT side, the A players will go in front of the barrels on the CT slope of A. There's a lineup with the box, so you can throw the smoke from behind the box, which is pretty much a consistent smoke. So if you're throwing it in such a fashion, then that will be less of an issue, but it's definitely something to be aware of. Now, 4-0 for FaZe. Kenny's on the AWP. And again, this is a situation where he needs to get something done. As you can see, he's made his way into Palace. This is an awkward pick, though. He has been spotted, and he's got to fall back from that. But the general idea here is that G2 gets something done. Now, on the CT side of Inferno, you may see a CT with an AWP get a pick, rotate somewhere else, expecting a rotation. Kenny hasn't done that in this scenario. He's still on the A side. The FaZe are moving in quickly. Kenny with one shot, but that is a problem. We see a few snipers go towards that triple position, and sometimes if there's like more than one person on the ramp, it's really hard to escape that area. Really troublesome. Now Existence looking for some bonus cash, although not much of it with the CZ. Only $100, I believe, for getting a frag of it these days.
For the longest time, actually. It's been like forever now. I think people are tired of actually asking for the bonus to be returned to the normal.
Dude, I used a 5.7 for so long that I didn't even realize. And then I would get a kill in pistol rounds. I'd be like, where's my money? I thought I'd have more than this.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. It's yeah.
Well, in the hands of somebody like Twist, it's still very OP, so.
Yeah, it's I don't know if that would be the kind of fix I would make, but either way, into the next round. Double ops here for G2, and Kenny once again making the jump across, but he will be unable to do much there with that smoke in place. And FaZe once again with a fast pace to the round. Karrigan is going to open things up well here, but there's so much in the way of defense offered up here by G2 towards this B bomb site, and Kenny S able to pick up Rain. Rain has been quite the monster going up onto that fence in middle. We've seen him do some good stuff here on Mirage this tournament there, but it seems like G2 are adapting fairly well so far. evening things up. And we'll see FaZe responding by rotating towards that A bomb site. But this round doesn't look too bad here for G2. They have decent enough positions. If Kenny can hit some shots, this will be a tough one for FaZe.
Smith's moving into a deeper position in the ramp. Still not necessarily easy to get a frag from here. But now starting to rotate, not getting any sound cues. So perhaps Kenny will watch the lower area. And Smith's to high. Existence making a play in the underpass earlier on. We'll talk about that later. Now, Olofmeister's in the connector position, so FaZe have good position here. It's a 4 versus 2 on the A site, and if Body chooses to rotate into the crawl space, the timing will be very important. The grenades start to fly in. He's on the rotation, trades immediately. Smith's taken out on the high ground by Guardian, who was ready for it, and again, that triple position appears to be a problem.
Yeah, it was a really nice shot from Kenny, but only the 1 kill, and now with the remainder of G2 locked out at the bomb site, things might get difficult. Oh, Body's lost as well. That is a problem. Shox. Oh, we can see he was considering it right there after making that frag, but he thought better of it, and he'll fall back and away with that AWP. Of course, they are a max loss bonus, but they do need 1 round to save, and because of the amount of money they're going to get in this round or in the next rounds, there is actually a lot of danger this AWP can present. You know, they'll have some CZs and Kevlars and a couple grenades. The next round could be quite dangerous against FaZe, so that should be an interesting one to see what Shox does with that AWP, or if he gives it to Kenny, what Kenny decides to do. Oh no.
Never mind.
Oh dear.
So you saw the earlier play from Existence into the underpass. Something that you can consider at home if you're choosing to make a play like that is to not buy full grenades, because if you're making a play like that, either you're going to die, whether you get a frag or not, or you're not going to be in a position really to use most of those grenades. So you can save yourself a hell of a lot of money, especially on the CT side, if you only buy what you think might be really crucial beyond the play you are choosing to make. Now, Smith was above the shadow position, and if I'm not mistaken, Guardian peeked from Palace and took him out with an AWP, which, bearing in mind, when you're coming out of the Palace area, you could have a player in Sandwich, a player on the stairs next to Connector, or who knows where else. So I do wonder what happened in that scenario, if he was turning around or if Guardian just was Guardian, which is always good for FaZe, who are 6-0 up at the moment, looking confident on Mirage.
Yes, indeed. It's been a good map so far. It looks very ABC from them, and these mid-takes have been really effective. The grenade placement and so on has been causing GT some issues. Nico able to defend against Smiths. Little does he know there's more where that came from.
Yeah, we'll see how he deals with this anti-eco. And on the subject of Palace, from a T person's perspective, you can see that Nico started passive. He didn't go too deep too early, in case something like this happens. So it's always good to anticipate what your opponents are doing. Another cool thing is, if you watch Fallen with an AWP in Palace, if he's making his way through, he'll often scope very early on, like in this kind of area. I think people at home will go to the end of Palace, look into A and scope in, but if someone's playing in the shadow position, they immediately know a sniper's there. But if you scope in early and walk through Palace, and people have no idea you're coming, so it can make the difference between winning and losing. Getting a pick which gives position to your team for that fabled pincer movement. And now with 3 players left, FaZe start to breach a bomb site. So again, there's time for correction here should something go wrong.
Shots for the Deagle. Oh, whiffs the first couple of shots. Unfortunately, that's not something you can afford to do in that position, and FaZe get closer and closer to this round. Oh, Guardian being teased. Actually hits Kenny in the calves. Kenny's actually stolen away an AK-47, which is something, better than nothing. And Body looks to be a nuisance, but another round will go the way of FaZe. It'll be 7-0 pretty quickly here. We haven't seen any super close rounds where FaZe really look tested, where it really comes down to these clutches.
Yeah, and FaZe are coming off that swift dispatching of Tyloo as well, which certainly helps in terms of momentum. Now Kenny is the only man remaining. Of course, G2 are at maximum loss bonus. In the next round, they will have everything they want. I would love to see the AK-47 go to Body or Shox. And we'll see what else G2 can do. It's not too late to have a reasonable half. And I would expect they'll have something in mind for the T side. So let's see what they choose to do. Nico being very vocal. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think there were mentions yesterday of him leading the charge on Mirage. Not every map, but at least Mirage. And people say, some people I think on the internet were referencing the in-game leading on Mousesports, but I think that was a very different case. As sometimes we saw it was like the whole team holds and Nico tries to get something done, but this is a very different team. FaZe Clan. Full players top mid for FaZe, and Olofmeister is making his way through B-Apps.
Yeah, the double orbs here for G2. Back in action. And this forward setup towards A could be quite strong if FaZe go back after this mid-take towards that A split, using the slope as a position to perhaps push 3 players, which is somewhat common with this opening. But that's the beauty of the mid-control. You can develop it into so many different things. And what the CTs usually do to figure that out is they'll do a 2-man push at a specific timing into the pit position to see if there are any Ts gathering up there. If there are not, they can start to eliminate some of the plays they think that the T side might be making. And you can see it's actually Shox pushing the B apartments, and the bomb is actually on the other side. He hasn't seen it just yet, but my goodness, if Karrigan walks into this angle and Shox sees the bomb, that could be a big moment for G2 here.
Karrigan should know that you cannot just walk into these angles in case a sniper is there. Exactly. Runs past. Very good awareness there. Every pro knows to avoid that. Shox falls back, but he's got some info. But counter rotation coming fast enough. Body is on the case, and now it's just down to Body with that AK-47. Maybe he can show us. Never mind. There's too many players here. Guardian has a superior angle. 23 seconds for Nico to plant the bomb. Olofmeister keeping an eye on things in a mid position. He will hear the footsteps of existence. Maybe Smiths as well. And it is save time for G2. 0-8.
Yeah, you almost think that maybe there's something that could happen there. You know, Kenny managed to get a kill. Or no, actually, did Kenny get taken down? No, Kenny got a kill as they were crossing middle, going towards that B split. That gave some information. And then Shox, if only he gets something done on the site there, there's real chances for G2. But look at just the individual power we're seeing out of Olofmeister and Rain, and basically everybody from FaZe. Nico, as you say, leading the charge in more ways than one. And G2, James, it feels like they're a bit defenseless right now.
Yeah. They are, it's like seal clubbing at the moment.
Oh wow.
Olofmeister.
Straight to the seal clubbing. I see.
You said defensive stance, first thing I thought of. Olofmeister, again, in those situations, you can just see his mind whirring. You see him pull out the Molotov for a second because he knows 2 players are live. He has a read. It's almost like poker. Like he has a read that the other guys in Palace anticipates him for a second, and just beautiful watching him take that duel as well. It's like a human highlight video. And that is a great example of why he is one of the two GoTV picks in this half for me.
Ooh, connection. Oh dear. These grenades have been really good in mids from FaZe so far. And they take a different approach this round. We've seen a fairly quick pace from FaZe, typically into the mid positions, and G2 looking to respond to that, but FaZe mix it up, and it's G2 that lose more health on this exchange of utility early into the rounds. And Existence feeling that pressure, just spamming through the smoke, forced to smoke pretty early in the round as well. And this is good from G2. You know, Smith being proactive, looking for information in Palace, and he can try to push a bit deeper than this.
Smith is 007 at the moment. Tuxedo, but no Aston Martin. Karrigan waiting for this. Hello. 008. Is that M? Who's 008?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's I can perhaps go into that push in a moment, as FaZe are looking to now develop the rounds. So it's phase 2 now. Phase 1, you play up passive setup, you wait for the pushes after some initial pressure. G2 give up a man, and they've also run out of utility. They've got 1 flashbang at this point. There's 30 seconds remaining, but FaZe have a bunch of utility, and now they're moving in towards the A site. Once again, a late split onto this bomb site. It is defenseless. There is only 1 man in the Palace. Body, though, does find himself some damage from the back, from short. That's good stuff there for G2. Now down to 2 as they have to plant the bomb. There is no choice. Olofmeister will save Karrigan, but he has to plant now. Olofmeister continuing to do damage. More players, though, coming in as G2 look for this retake.
Body and Shox around that connector position. You know what Olof is, and Karrigan Karrigan planting the bomb or make it a 1 versus 2? Now, Shox, the last man standing. That is terrifying territory, especially when you're both low on health. They need to get the 2 versus 1 in, but who peeks first? Where do they read Shox is coming from? Karrigan peeking to his right-hand side, and there's a massive headshot. 9-0 for FaZe. Now, I'm calling Nico the most dangerous man in Counter-Strike, and as a person who seems to be leading the charge here on Mirage, you can see in that round when Smith pushes that, FaZe know what G2 want to do before G2 do. That's what it seems like at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a really great round. Obviously, Olofmeister has to clutch pretty hard there to save it. Those 2 kills in very quick succession saved the bomb plant. But what was really cool was FaZe, you know, they make the round look somewhat similar pacing-wise to some of the previous ones. They play really fast pace, they put the pressure on. We see a lot of utility used by G2 in response, and then they just hold in passive positions. They bait out a push from existence. And that's an interesting thing. I think in the meta we used to see a lot of palace pushes from the CTs, and you've got to be kind of cautious how deep you go with it. And right there, G2 is so blind and so desperate after using all the utility early to know what FaZe did, they walked into the trap. And a 5v4 is, for FaZe on the T side, is seemingly easy to shut down.
In our central gaming monitor, we have the cameras for both teams as well. And while you guys are watching G2 for the most part, Nico was just talking the entire time, just barking all kinds of orders to the team. Oh, we've got the grenades at different times, of course. Just when you think it's safe, maybe more grenades will come. 2 more HEs and a bunch of deagles, but those are just the only highlights really in a disastrous situation for G2. 4 of the 5 players have frags at the moment, and that does raise the question about the fragging power on this particular roster, especially when you're up against a team such as FaZe. I think it's reasonable to ask if you can ever beat a FaZe clan just in duels. I mean, obviously FaZe have the advantage of the AKs as well, which is significant, especially when their skill ceiling is so high. But I think there are long-term questions which the results of a match like this pose.
Yep, and once again, looks like we'll have this eco cleaned up pretty swiftly and pretty easily. And it's hard to know what G2 can go to if they don't get any rounds on the CT side. You know, what do you need to do to get back into this game? And as you said, you know, the individual skill, it is just something that FaZe can leverage in any sort of bad spot they get into. Like, for example, that previous round, you know, it was a really well-played round from FaZe, but somehow G2 is still sort of able to get some frags, make it favorable, and then boom, Olofmeister happens. Just gets a 2K out of nowhere, and that, like, incredible skill spread across so many players just gets you out of so many bad spots. And there it is. Another round for FaZe. They'll hit the double digits. 10 to G2 0. Now you start to wonder if we're going to see our second 16-0 in a major ever. I was just thinking that.
In consecutive days, no less, because, I mean, just look at the scoreboard. There's not a lot. There's not a lot going on. The A side seems indefensible at the moment. So, I mean, G2 are trying to be aggressive, but again, they seem unable to surprise FaZe. That's annoying for Kenny, but he at least manages to get away from that middle position.
Have you seen that before, James?
I have seen it before. I have seen it before, actually. It's really irritating. Yeah, trying to jump off something, getting hit by a grenade, absolutely ruins your trajectory. It's even worse when it's a HE and it hits you in the face as well.
I'm sure I've seen that in a pro match at this level. That's pretty interesting. Must feel like everything that can go wrong is going wrong for GT right now, except that perhaps timely push from Shox. Maybe that will speed up the push here from FaZe. As a response to that, we've got to be careful with the spray through the smoke. The tracers can betray you. And there's a minute left, and FaZe don't have too much going on except this short control, so they look to build on that, and they'll have Guardian still pushing it. In fact, he could actually push all the way to the B bomb side if they would like. They still have good coverage. They've gone deep enough here, and they've got the bomb moving in B apartments, so looks like that's as good a call as any here. Although Kenny will have an angle as the smokes dissipate. Another one bites the dust. That was almost a double as well, so G2, they might just have their first round on the board, James.
2 versus 5, Nico and Rain. I'm not calling it just yet, that's for sure. Smith's in existence, very deep on A, and that's going to cause a problem with the time so low. It's going to make it hard to get a bomb plant, and of course there is bomb plant pressure here for FaZe Clan, but I'm sure they want to do as much damage as possible. Kenny is starting to deny them. That's 3 kills. It seems Nico wants to prioritize taking the AWP away. But we might just see everybody survive. It doesn't matter if Nico doesn't die, because they have so much money, FaZe, but he will get eliminated. So finally, G2 win a round, and they win a round with everybody alive. Finally, G2 are on the scoreboard. Denied.
I love that that's in the replay.
It's like that's kind of like you're walking up to a girl in a club or something, and some other guy just comes out of nowhere and starts talking to her just before, and you like have to style it out like you're going to get a drink, or suddenly you have to take a right turn. Oh, that's awkward. Well,
no more 16-0 at the very least.
Denied. Yeah, the 16-0 is off, boys.
But it was definitely looking like that. You're absolutely right. Oh man, imagine, this is such a difficult spot. Because it's one thing, if you've had some very competitive rounds, but I think we've only really seen one where Olofmeister sort of clutched it out with a 2K so they could get the bomb down and play a 2v1 afterwards. That was really the only super close round that we've seen, except obviously that round just won there where G2 just... Kenny just sort of just got the picks because the smoke went away before FaZe were clear. Alright, so maybe G2 can compound on this success and build it into something else, but it looks like FaZe have other ideas.
Carrigan and Rain getting their best Kishima impression on, charging straight into the connector position, looking for some one-taps is Rain. Nothing doing just yet. Kenny off to a good start, seems to have warmed up now. And the CTs have a play towards it, but Rain's is creeping through. But the smoke is to the advantage of existence. FaZe playing with absolute confidence. Okay then, stereo frags from FaZe, and now it's a 3-on-3.
Oh dear, Smith is forced out of position, and just when you thought you maybe had an advantage, it is taken away in the blink of an eye, and Body and Shox left to try to clutch 2v3. Definitely doable here. Body has an AK, so does Shox, but Guardian has an AWP, and it does get somewhat awkward here. It doesn't seem like they have any utility left at this point. The T side, so it's going to be hard to block off these choke points. Shox is in there. That's Nico dead. Big pickup, but still Guardian to go. One misplaced foot, and that could be the end of you. And they've got 45 seconds to try to find a way to plant this bomb, so that is definitely playing in the favor of FaZe here. It's Guardian creeps closer and closer, and he's going to get deep angle on this peak. And finally, surely Body spots it though. He knows he has to play a bit more shallow, and it's good cover coming in, but Olofmeister now in the 1v1.
Molotov not doing a job there. Olofmeister have some space to play with. Not quite the bite off Molly. Body full health. Needs 2 bullets unless he hits the face. 27 in 1 won't be enough. Just creeping around. Olofmeister has no idea what's going on, but he has a read. Takes a gamble. The game sense of Olofmeister, really nice. There was an incendiary, didn't pick it up. Happy with the AK, so dangerous with that is Olofmeister, and that will be round number 11 for FaZe Clan. There is, though, another buy for G2 because they pretty much all survived in that round prior. 4 or 5 of them, I think 5.
It's actually like so smart as well from Olofmeister, his positioning, because I think he knows, once he gets these steps, not only does he have an off angle and he has, superior crosshair placement, he's at like he could be a bit higher or a bit lower, his head, the positioning of his head because of the nature of the steps, whereas he knows the opponent has to be a certain level because that's a flat surface, so he just gets this inherent advantage. So smart.
Really smart from him indeed. Got to be really careful about when you choose to pull grenades out. The AK is often superior. Flash is going higher, avoided by Rain, jumping up. Body will spot him. He could raise the alarm. Existence going to have a look, I think. They know someone's in the window position. Sprays there, but not quite the kill. And what's happened to FaZe? Rain and Carrigan remain. They know where Rain is. He's almost dead.
I have no idea how he is actually alive at this point. He even got tagged trying to get out of the position. And Carrigan is left as the only healthy player in this. Oh my goodness, that was a chance perhaps. Rain, though, unable to capitalize. Now Shox looks expectantly at Carrigan's position. Carrigan is going to have a hard fight here. He's going to shoulder peek it. Oh, really smart, then goes for the deep peek. Unlucky for Carrigan, but Shox on point. A 3K for him in the round, and that's 2 now for G2 as we are almost at the end of this half.
despite the score, we are seeing some really cool snippets of game sense from a number of these players. After Shox gets that first frag, I don't know if they had some information as to where Carrigan is, but he jumps up to elevate his position, standing on the wood. You see Carrigan jiggling and looking for the pre-fire. Even if he got it, he would have shot Shox in the chest instead of the head, because he jumped on there. So again, just game sense galore. But can G2 get 4 rounds on the board here? That's really important for them. They need something to fight with moving into the second half. Nico on A ramp with the bomb. 4 players looking to burst on the A bomb site, and who can blame them? This has been a weak spot. Smith still only has 1 frag in this game so far. And there he is, doubling his score. Can't get a third though.
Yeah, it's very close, good attempts, but Shox in the 1v3 now. Lots of work to do. Does have the AK at the very least, and it's going to be so difficult to root out these players. They're all in deep positions, so he has to go very deep and basically tap the bomb, at which point 3 players could just jump out at him. There's no way he can find anyone. FaZe are playing this perfectly. How do you beat Shox? Well, the time's against him. Force him into a spot where he can't even find a fight, but he's going to find a fight against Nico. Has the smoke to pressure the bomb. Doesn't actually tap it, but still Guardian comes out. Surely not. Surely Shox can't win this clutch. Goes up against Olofmeister, and unfortunately he has no idea where to look, and Olofmeister will shut it down, but Shox made that look doable. Just speaks to the quality of him. That was the most impossible of situations.
1 round remains in this half.
Wow, that's incredible.
So clean. So clean from Shox, that shot. Olofmeister had superior position. The smoke was interesting as well. It might have been hard for him to find a spot there. He's pretty much covered the whole of default, but here we are. 2 rifles and 3 pistols for the French-speaking side. Existence, of course, is from Belgium. Smoke has gone too deep and will have a gap in it. But no one is looking just yet. FaZe looking to execute on the A site once again, and that might be partly why G2 have put 4 players here, although of course they may choose to stack with so many weapons. And in they go.
This is what Sean was talking about as well. French stacking the side of the map, maybe the buy rounds though, and it's an easy cleanup apparently for FaZe. 13-2 the score at the end of the first half, a clean one, and it was 10 rounds in a row before G2 were able to post anything on the scoreboard. Definitely looking very grim for them at the beginning of this best of 3. Of course, this map is not over yet, but from what we've seen, things are not looking good so far for the French.
2 rounds and 2 frags for Smiths. You can see the body language is not very good in that respect. There's a lot. Maybe we should do some body language videos. Let's get some body language people. The guy who did the CIA video, the book with Phil Hellmuth about body language and tells and so on. Get that guy can wear some dodgy glasses and an ill-fitting suit, and we could do a video with him about body language and what we can read from the players on player cameras. Well then, 2 boys with utility for the T side. Body will be the man with a P250. Can he have the same highlights as we saw from Issa in the previous match?
Oh dear, they're going to run straight into the C's there. What they expect? Olofmeister, yes, they check for it, but somehow Nico's going to put support in there. Olofmeister is still alive, but not for too much longer. But Nico, great support, and he's doing more damage. The bomb on the ground is existing, his face is up against Rain, Guardian, and Nico. Never a good look, and he will be shut down. Nico, great round from him, and FaZe moved to 14 very quickly.
I'm telling you, man, Nico is the most dangerous man in Counter-Strike. He is playing lights out, as he always does, and he is in-game leading, and he's just shy of leading the server. Olofmeister fighting him for that. And I'm sure they are very happy that Olofmeister is back on the team. 14-2. This may be a brief one for G2 on Mirage.
Indeed, indeed. Nades will be purchased here for G2 along with those pistols. Guardian looking to have some fun with the scout, but the smoke will spoil things for him. Looks like a B rush is brewing here for G2. And that will be utterly denied perhaps through the smoke unless they decide to go through it. They do have a couple of flashbangs on Kenny, but Carrigan could be ready to body block if they decide to go through the smoke. Oh, the running begins, and Carrigan just gets himself additional space. Nade in from Olofmeister and the FAMAS follow-up. You can't really deny this push harder than that. In fact, Carrigan's still alive. I don't even know how he's taking so little damage. Until now, of course, but very grim situation here for G2. This was absolutely shut down, James.
Yeah, I think this can be described with Sponge's favourite 2 words, absolutely fisted. We're looking at a 15-2 scoreline. There it is. Rain taking Kenny S out from the back, and now we wonder if FaZe Clan will put G2 out of their misery on this map. I mean, the A site was exploited. The A site was a sweatshop, Dan. You know, we talk about positions and like sometimes you're a B player, you don't get many action, so the scoreboard looks weird, but it was indefensible. Indefensible. 15-2 for FaZe Clan. They are well equipped, very well equipped indeed. G2 now having to force the issue versus game point with 4 Deagles and a CZ75. We are asking a lot of the French-speaking team.
Yeah, and then we have that classic setup. Oh, that's a nice shot from Shox, but short-lived. All the fights are hunting him down. He's on horseback, and he is chasing after the Fox. Existence will appear from the pit's position through the smoke. Perhaps he can get a cheeky frag. I don't know that they know that he's there, and he'll be holding position now. So perhaps this one will come as a surprise indeed. 16-2, FaZe utterly dominates G2. They never stood a chance, it would seem. They didn't really offer up all that much here in this game of Mirage, James.
No,